If you're trying to get into cloud, AWS is definitely the way to go.
When choosing a career path in IT, there's going to be many options, so many that you'll get distracted. That's why it's important to choose one and stick to it. If you decide to learn about cloud, we believe that AWS is the best cloud to master as a beginner.
And the reason we say that is because not only AWS is the biggest cloud provider out there, but it has so many services. It has so many more jobs available around this.
Yes, it's definitely the cloud with the largest market share, not just in the US, but globally. And as you mentioned, they have more services than any other cloud provider out there.
So basically, if you're about to go into an industry, you might as well go with the product that has the most job availability. Because it's gonna be time at one point to get a job. And if this cloud provider offers more, your likelihood of getting a job is higher as well. And the second reason why it's important to choose, now we know why we should choose AWS, but it's important to not show up to the marketplace as a jack of all trades. And the only way you do that is to focus on one cloud provider, which we think should be AWS, and focus and master it. Because usually what happens is you get to the marketplace and you are in an interview. Most likely that company has multiple cloud, but they are looking for subject matter expert. They'd rather go with you, who's a subject matter expert in AWS, and train you on the other cloud that they actually have. It's better than trying to show up to the marketplace and say, yeah, I know a little bit of cloud, a little bit of Azure, a little bit of IBM, but I'm not
not able to articulate what you know about each one of these. Yeah.
So you are a master of none at that point. So it's better to focus on the biggest cloud market out there, master that, and if they need you to learn other skills,
they will give you that opportunity.
You will learn it on the job.
They will even pay for training if needed. Yeah.
Because AWS is the only cloud provider that's growing 40% year over year, and that's expected to happen for the next 5 years at least. So understand, AWS is still growing like a startup.
Definitely.
So you imagine the amount of jobs that's going to be available around that cloud provider. So it's not that Azure is not great, Azure is not important, but as a new entrant, as a new student, as a new person in the business, you have to give yourself more option. And by going with the biggest cloud, that's what you do. You give yourself more options for jobs, more options for training. They have more certification. They have more services that you can focus on. So
even as a learner, that has a benefit, because when you're learning a technology that's well documented, that has a rich and thriving community, you're going to be able to leverage everybody else's experience to build things for yourself or for your project. There's also a lot of enthusiasm in that. Because you feel like part of that community. But if you're using a cloud that very few people use, let's say in this part of the world, then you never feel like you belong to that.
Yeah, and you said something about AWS that's very true. They have a big community.
Yes.
They have a lot of people that not only know AWS, that not only work with AWS, but they build themselves around a community. For example, reInvent, which is the big, how do you call that?
Their conference.
Their conference.
Their main conference.
This thing is so massive, and people who go there, it's like more than a conference.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like Disney for techies.
Exactly. So the community around AWS is bigger. So if you're gonna choose a way to start your career, you might as well go with the biggest player in town.
Definitely.
So that's why I think in 2024, you're going to choose to go with cloud. you have to go with AWS and learn anything else later at the job.
Definitely. And remember, if you can show that you know AWS deeply, any employer will believe in your ability to learn and adapt to another environment.